Welcome back to Backroom Talk. This season, we're bringing you behind the scenes conversations with awesome coaches who are shaping the future of fitness. I'm your host, Candace Dixon, CMO of OPEX and CoachRx. In this episode, I sit down with Scott Brewer as he shares his journey from military service to running enthusiast to becoming a professional coach and gym owner. Scott dives into why mastering fundamental habits must come before seeking efficiency, and how the evolution of running culture reflects broader shifts in our approach to fitness challenges. He walks us through the delicate balance of maintaining authenticity in a world that often only showcases success, the importance of tactile sensitivity in coaching in person, and why sustainable lifestyle changes create far more meaningful outcomes than quick fixes. What really shines through is his belief that true coaching creates a ripple effect that extends far beyond the gym walls. Whether you're a career coach or thinking about coaching as your next move, this episode is one you're not going to want to miss. All right, let's jump into my checklist call. Hello.
Hey, Candace, how are you?
Oh, it's so good to see you. I'm well.
Good to see you as
Thank
well.
you. How are you?
I'm well. So, it's nice. I was talking to my wife last night. I was like, I see lots of people, in big group settings. So it's nice to, it's nice. Let me, Riverside wants to, yeah, you can show me notifications. That's fine. It's nice to get one-on-one. I had a call a couple months ago with James, and I really enjoyed it. It's just a wonderful call, very informal. But anyway, awesome to see you. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm so glad you got to chat with him. He's been loving just taking these one-off calls with coaches and just digging in. Like, that's what I hear from him. He's like, I'm behind the scenes. I'm old news. I just want to go where I'm needed and I can be of the most impact. So
Yeah, well, I don't know about him not being needed. I mean, he's the GOAT, right? But yeah, I could see that in James, and it's funny the conversation of, because James and he's a little bit younger than me actually, but it's interesting to see how fitness transcends as I'm in my fifth decade, right? And it's a really, really nice conversation to talk to someone that I can relate to that's in that decade as well. So
I love that.
yeah.
Well, let's start with, how has your day been so far? What did you get up to this morning? I guess maybe early afternoon for you.
Yeah. So yeah, it's afternoon, 2 p.m. here. Typical day. I've gone back to coaching on the floor a lot more. It wasn't planned. One of my legacy employees wanted to go on. She got married, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful story. But she left my gym, so I've been kind of picking up the coaching slack, which is actually wonderful because I didn't get into this business to sit behind a desk, right? I got into this business to get some tactile sensitivity on the floor, right? So to see people move, help people understand movement, and those conversations on the floor. People spend hundreds of dollars to talk to someone when I can just, we can just kind of shoot the shit, excuse my language, and come up with some just amazing anecdotes and ways to allow fitness influence their lives even more. So that I did that for about 5 hours this morning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's been a full day.
Yeah. So I open. So, we open at 4:45. So it's, pretty early. My day starts at 3:45 every day. And yeah, got to do what I love. Then I train. I train an hour every day. Kind of a deload week for me. I'm going into some competition stuff this weekend. So it's got to take
Racing, right?
Yeah, I'm going to do another Spartan trifecta. I've really enjoyed those. I've always liked seeing what my body can do, and it's a different, it's different now because, when I was in my 20s, hell, I could do something and the next day I could do something again. You know what I mean? And now it's like, hold up just a little bit. We might want to take 2 to 3 days off after these things now, right? But I love it. I love the spirit of competition. I love the people out there. It's always good to get out of town to do things like that, right? And of course, while I can, let's continue to push my body to its limits, right? Yeah.
And do you do this with your son?
So Yes, when I get the opportunity. So, which is my sons are, my oldest is on a cruise in Nassau right now, and my youngest, he is in between graduating high school and trying to navigate what's next. So he's looking at several options, and as a father, uh, I'm holding his hand, but maybe only just a couple fingers. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
kind of letting him choose his path. Uh, because one thing that I found is, when I was 17, I thought I had my life figured out, right? I knew exactly where I was going to be at 30, which of course, 30 at 17 is ancient. You know what I mean? Like you can't even fathom it, right? I'm going to be a millionaire
Yeah.
by 30. I mean, hell, that's a lifetime away, But anyway, so letting him navigate it and obviously probably experience some bumps and bruises in the process, right?
Yeah. Well, you'll be there to catch him, I'm
I
sure.
hope so. I
But
mean, he's always all my kids are always welcome, of course. But yeah.
do either of them, obviously, I know they're active with you. I see just you guys doing stuff, always out hiking and walks and doing stuff. But do either of them have an interest in the coaching profession or owning the gym or taking it on after you're ready to pass it
So
on?
we've had those conversations, but more in passing. We've had some dinner conversations, especially with my youngest. He's going to be 19, and he has probably mentioned um, taking that fitness route a little bit more than my oldest. My oldest, he'll be commissioning in the U.S. Army in May. They
Amazing.
kind of own him for 6 years because they paid for his college. But so he's definitely got the next 6 years. But I mean, he'll be 30 when he's got his school paid for and all that. So it's kind of a nice thing. But my youngest, he hits and misses, right? So he's like, Dad, I'm thinking about, I'd really like to shadow you. I'd really like to come in and I was like, yeah, you're always welcome. And then his girlfriend calls. You know what I mean? He's a young kid. So
Priorities.
yeah, priorities. Yeah, of course. But I mean, I I absolutely adore what I do, just like you do. I mean, you can tell that the people that are in this business that are serious about it, it's a joy to wake up. You know, put on shorts and a t-shirt every day. It's a wonderful life. Struggles, of course, but I can't imagine doing anything else. And I think that I would love to be able to step away and hand something that I've created. I mean, I had a lot of help along the way, so I can't call it all mine, but something that I've taken. It would be a nice legacy to pass on to my children. Nothing, of course, that I would force, but it would be neat, for me long
Yeah.
gone and OPEX Midlands, still changing lives one at a time. Yeah,
Yeah, that is amazing. That could give me
yeah,
goosebumps for sure.
yeah.
Well, let's take it back to when you first got hit with the fitness bug and personally fell in love with fitness, and then how did that evolve into you becoming a coach?
Yeah.
Let's start there. And how long ago was that?
Oh well, so it was actually kind of sporadic. As you know, I joined the Army when I was 17. Loved the Army. I think it was a smart choice for me. I was able to stay in miraculous shape, even though contrary to what I was doing to my body at the time. So the Army, there are different avenues in the military. I was in more of a specialized group, so fitness was a lot more important than some of the other parts of the organization.
What was the specialized group? I
So,
don't know if I know the details.
so I was a paratrooper, so we were
Okay.
held to a higher standard for physical fitness. We had to have certain norms that we had to meet, or we were in trouble. Usually means we had to be a little bit stronger and a little bit faster than the.
You're jumping out of planes, so you got to be able to handle
Yeah,
that.
you have to be somewhat fit and somewhat psychotic. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
But anyway, so it was funny. I was forced, right, to go to work out every day, and I think a lot of times, and we see this with a lot of individuals, that when you're forced to do something, it sort of takes the love out of it. It takes the fun, right? I love being in shape. I love the fact that I could do whatever I wanted. I could drink, eat, whatever, sleep 3 hours a day, and was physically able to recover from that. But I was also young. So when I got out of the military, I sort of kind of told myself, look, I'm not going to run anymore. I told myself, I tell my wife this story all the time. I'm like, I'm not going to be cold ever again. I'm never going to be hungry again. Right. And God forbid, I'm never going to have anything, combat related kind of happen. But that's one thing is I don't ever want to be cold again, because I just remember freezing my tail off most of the time on morning PT, physical exercise.
Mm-hmm.
But so I went into the workforce, and I started noticing that I just didn't feel as well as I used to feel. Right. My energy was waning throughout the day. Granted, I was still in my 20s, my late 20s, and I decided one thing I was always really good at was running, and so I started picking up running. Fell in love with it. Became passionate about running. Decided to go, the route of becoming an actual running coach. So I got into coaching individuals. I did some couch to 5K stuff, but then I really found out like those really long endurance races, helping people get from zero to hero. I really enjoyed that. So I became a running coach. That was my passion for a few years. Didn't pay the bills at all. So I was still doing other jobs.
Gosh, today, could you imagine if that was the thing you were focused on right now? It's like a totally different, I mean, everything's in cycles, right?
100%. Yeah. And so I was working other jobs. My wife's always been, I have to say, I have to go out and my wife, without her, OPEX Midlands wouldn't exist. So in our struggles and the beginning of my fitness story, she was always there, and she was the breadwinner, right? So the sacrifices she has made so I can put on shorts and a t-shirt every morning is amazing, and we're starting to see, it's a process, right? So we're starting to see our fruition, the fruits coming, but very frustrating. Never an argument. I don't think, some conversations, but I don't think we've ever had an argument about me doing anything else. She's always supported me. But anyway, getting ahead of myself. Running, I started noticing that, hey, I'm following all the rules. I'm doing everything I told, principle-wise, morality-wise, when it comes to running and endurance running. Why are my clients getting hurt, right? Why are these relatively young, healthy people, why are they getting shin splints? Why are they getting stress fractures? What is going on here, right? So that sent me down a bunch more rabbit holes. I started looking into proper shoe wear, and I started looking into gait analysis, and I just kept going deeper. And then I had an aha moment when I got injured. And I was having a conversation with a young man. I was actually swimming laps at a pool because I wasn't able to run. And the guy said, yeah, man, you're just not strong enough to run. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, you lack the strength to run. I was like, I never really thought of it that way. Because, I mean, that was literally all I was doing, just pounding the pavement day after day after day. That's what the Army taught us, right? When I was in the military, when I was training for airborne school, we had this crazy old Vietnam vet named Sergeant McKay. And he's like, gentlemen, Monday through Friday, we're going to run 16 miles a day. If we do 6 in the morning, we only have to do 10 in the afternoon. And I'm like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? So, I mean, we were running 70, 80 miles a week. So when I actually went to airborne school, it's like the easiest thing I'd ever done. The hardest part was staying awake, right? But yes, I found that we were.
And in boots too, right?
Well, no, sometimes we were in boots. Most of the time we were in whatever shoes we had. Most of the time
Okay.
PT shoes. Yeah. Just regular running shoes. Airborne school was in boots, but like I said, piece of cake. But yeah, so I started thinking, yeah, this is terrible. And I always went to the gym, I always did biceps and chest and all that, but I kind of lacked my legs because like, well, hell, I'm running all the time. My legs don't need it. Boy, was I wrong. So I started looking into strength and conditioning. And strength and conditioning, with my endurance background, I met a young man who owned a CrossFit gym in Lexington, South Carolina. And he said, how would you feel about being my endurance coach? And I said, I would absolutely love that. So I became, I think at that time it was CrossFit Endurance Level 1 is what I did. Did the course. It was a fun course. I learned a lot. But really started doing a deep dive into all aspects of CrossFit, strength conditioning, the Olympic lifts, all of that stuff. Fell in love with it. So I did that for a few years, and then decided I wanted more. And funny thing happened. Carl Hardwick began programming for our gym. So that's kind of the state. I'm not giving all the credit to Carl, but there's a huge impact that Carl had on me. And then we started talking about OPEX, and as you know, it was me and PJ and Faraz and Carl. We opened up the first, as far as I know, the first OPEX gyms, right? And the one in Columbia that I ran sort of kind of failed miserably. It was, I can't say miserably. Carl might punch me in the face if I say miserably, but we were attached to a CrossFit gym. So from a bystander walking into the gym, you've got a CrossFit gym over here. So it's got the rigs, it's got the wall ball targets, it's got all the weights and the rubber floor. And then you walk into OPEX, which is 3 times the price point, and it looks exactly the same. Right? So we're like, these guys are like, well, why shouldn't I just pay $150 a month? Because, you're paying, you're wanting 300 plus, but it looks the same. So we had that. There was that.
It was so early into the concept of individual design too.
Absolutely.
Like people didn't understand the value of that.
Absolutely. And yeah, it was tough, right? I mean, how can you tell somebody?
Because this would be like 2016, 15?
Yep, it was 20. I think it was 20, late 15, early 16.
Okay.
So we had a lot of support from the guy we were leasing the gym from, but it just didn't work out in Columbia. So I convinced. We sort of had a board of directors at that time, right? So I convinced the guys like, hey, let's move to Lexington, right? So it's not a college town. There's a little more, for lack of a better word, there's a little more capital in this town, right? There's a little more, not really disposable income, but we could do a higher price point. Because where we were, you couldn't throw a rock without hitting a poor college kid, right? So just the demographic. And once we moved over here, things started to develop quickly. Still a lot of bumps, a lot of bruises, a lot more challenges than I had originally anticipated, which of course is with any business startup. But we started to gain traction. And now we're 5 years in. We're doing great. We're a small gym, so we only have, I want to say, 1,900 square feet total, right? And we have.
And what the average OPEX gym is like around that 3,000 square foot mark?
So even if I have a really, really solid floor time, if I got 12 people on my floor, it's pretty stacked, right? So I think there's a time where I'm going to have to probably move to a larger facility, but we're very comfortable where we are now. Still hungry, but comfortable because we're giving the level of care that our clients need. I want to, obviously, as a business owner, I want to provide for my family. I want to provide for my coaches. I would love, I only have 2 part-time coaches. I would love to have 2 full-time coaches, right? I do have the lion's share of the clients. I've just been around the town for a long time, right? So, some people say, hey, I want to go, I'm looking into this place called OPEX Midlands, but there's a lot of clients like, hey, I wonder where Scott Brewer is now, right? So I'm not cocky or conceited about that, but a lot of people come here looking for me.
The trust factor.
Yeah, exactly. So they've either trained with me in the past or they've heard, organic reach is always going to be the best reach, right? So yeah. So we're kind of in a flux right now to where I want to start stepping back from taking clients and go to more of a remote so that my other coaches can start filling their docket.
Do you have remote clients now from like just legacy clients who have moved on that are purely remote now, or are you almost always in the gym with someone?
So yeah, so I have, I would say about 35% of my clients are remote. Some that have moved away, some that have just found me either through OPEX or hearsay, right? The fact that I do a lot of these races, tend to meet a lot of people there. So there's a lot of people that have the same kind of interest, right? So, um, you know, a lot of times I'll pick up a couple 6-week trials when I'm at a race and hopefully convert them into remote clients. And that's tend to work very, very well. And I've had remote clients. I've had remote clients for 6 years now, and it's been really, really nice. So to have that kind of level, because in this world, in this fitness world that we live in, you know, there's a lot of I want instant gratification, right? And to put your
And the next shiny object.
shiny object syndrome, 100%, right? We see it all the time, and that's a really, really tough thing.
6 years is a very long time to be coaching
Yeah,
someone.
absolutely. And I'm not. I think I'm not complacent with them. Like I still give them the highest quality, but when you get a new client, it's like I'm gonna embrace you in a bear hug, right? And then 2 weeks, 3 weeks go by, and then okay, cool. I'm gonna put my hand on your shoulder. Okay, then we're gonna like bump elbows. We slowly step away as a coach. The actual coaching aspect, because hey, the main thing we want to do as fitness professionals, not as fitness influencers, but as fitness professionals, we want people to take ownership of their fitness, right? But if we're doing our job correctly, if we are nailing the foundation, if we are building the boundaries, and we are trustworthy from the very start, they stick around because a lot of the high level professionals, it's one less thing they have to think about, right? They get up, they look at
Yeah.
CoachRx, they're like, "This is what I'm doing today." Oh my God, it looks terrible, but I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? And that's where the real satisfaction of a professional coach is, to know that these people, that you have built this trust and this love with these clients. Yeah, I'm sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent.
Well, let's take, so I don't know, because obviously you never know who's listening to these episodes, right? And I'm assuming it is a lot of our community, but I'm assuming there'll also be new people who are like, what is OPEX and what are these people talking about with this model? And um, obviously there is a core set, a system and a set of principles that everyone adopts, but many of the coaches and gym owners, obviously they tailor that to what works best for their community, and as they grow and evolve with their communities, what that looks like. But when you're coaching someone for 6 years, you're obviously not just doing reps and sets. There's a lot more that you're working on with them, whether it be the other 23 hours outside of the gym, or getting them to adopt lifestyle behaviors that are helping them in all aspects of their life. So I guess for those that may not know, when you say coaching someone for 6 years, what exactly are you coaching? Like, what's the coaching model and system look like? What are you working on with these people? What are people coming to you for, and how are you attacking solving those
Yeah,
problems?
that's a lot. That's a big question, and we have to kind of look back at the individualistic nature of what we do. But I would say, as I said before, we have those initial boundaries set. Like, hey, look, one of the things I tell all my clients is, you are absolutely 100% welcome to message me at 7:30 p.m., but you will not hear from me until that my phone is off at 7 p.m. 100%. So that's a boundary that I set, but it's also something that they respect. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, cool, look, this guy has decided that 7 p.m. is a cutoff time for all devices, and maybe they'll kind of adopt that as well, right? But yeah, the lifestyle stuff definitely comes in, and I think the one thing that I love about the OPEX model, um, and it is hard to convince people at the start, but the more and more and more you push longevity, the more you push, like, we're playing the long game here. I don't give a shit that you could bench press 225 in high school. You're 30 years old now. I don't care if you ever see 225 again. You know what I mean? But I would love for you to be able to bench 135 at 80. You know what I mean? And that's where those lifestyle things and those transitions from like instant gratification to like, I want to be able to deadlift my grandkids, you know, when I'm in my last decade. So yes, those lifestyle changes, and it could be something so simple, Candace. Like I had one client where for 6 months, all we did was like drink. I was like, after 11 a.m., you can only have decaf coffee. That's it. Like for 6 months, he's like, well, what's that going to do? And I'm like, well, we'll just kind of see and find out, you know. Sleep improved, body composition improved, right? Mental continuity and cognitive function improved, right? And I'm not saying there's anything bad about caffeine. So any caffeine haters out there, I'm not saying caffeine's bad. But as we age, caffeine affects everybody differently, right? So this guy was sucking down coffee at 6 p.m. and wondering why his sleep was shit, right? So just that switch in that 6 month time, you know, many things happen. Sleep improved, body composition improved, energy improved, workouts improved. You know, the LBs and the kilos went up on the bar. But not only that, he started reducing caffeine in other ways as well. So now he's you know, this particular client's 1 cup of coffee in the morning, and that's it. That's the only caffeine he has, right? So that took quite some time. And
Remember what he originally mentioned, in whether it be in consult or in passing in the gym or in comments on something? Like, what was the thing that made you say, we're going to try this behavioral change with caffeine?
yeah, so he was a high performer. He owned his own business, and he was just mental fog, and all. He was starting to lose performance. He knew how important fitness was, but fitness was taking a back burner to working late nights, right? And so there was more to it. I mean, we could dissect this guy into a million pieces, right? You know, not having the energy, you know, looking at your computer, because that's just where we are right now, right? Whether you are a fitness coach or an accountant, you're staring at a screen for a substantial amount of time, right? So he couldn't focus. He was always tired, mental fatigue, and he would end up working more and more hours to make up for the lack of productivity. So there's a big, huge difference. And that's what I told him. It's like, look, Mike, there's a big, huge difference between busy and productive, right? You're just making yourself busy. So let's try this and let's try this. And it worked. So
Without saying it, you've described the difference between, and it may not only be OPEX coaches. I'm sure there are other coaches that are out there that coach this way, but someone comes to you thinking, I want to get stronger in the gym, or I want to lose some weight. And you're in a conversation about their daily workflow, capacity, cognitive function, productivity, and pinpointing actual things that they can implement in their day to day, realistic, sustainable behaviors they can change to impact everything in their life. And that's not coaching fitness, that's just coaching.
sure.
But that's the difference, right? Between, I'm going to go hire a personal trainer and I'm going to see them for a couple hours a week and check in.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to hire a professional coach that's going to be with me and help me across my whole life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's 100%. And I think the professional coach can find a way, and it's a challenge sometimes, right? It's a challenge, but I think a professional coach can always find a way to bring fitness into all other aspects of their life, right? So how many times have we had a client, it's it's the little things that they message you and say, I've been taking the stairs now. I live 8 stories. My office is 8 stories, and I don't even take the elevator. I couldn't climb two flights of stairs 3 months ago, and here I am. And it's those, when they start getting those aha moments, that's when you're like, cool, right? I'm actually doing my job. I'm actually changing lives, and that's where you get the warm and fuzzies, and that's what keeps you going and going and going. But then it's like, well, shit, they've got that. What's next, right? So, and we keep building and building and building. The ideal client because I can't say perfect client because there's no such thing, because I'm a client as well, and I'm far from perfect. But the ideal client is that person that come in, that no matter what, and most people, we start out like, look, everyone comes in guns a-blazing. I want 7 workouts a week. We're like, that's not how we do things here, right? Let's nail 3. You show me that you can get 90% of your workouts for the next 3 months, and you do 3 a week, and you're always there, then we'll reward you with some more training, right? And that's the perfect client. That one person is like, you know what? My Aura or my Garmin or my Whoop says that I should just sleep today, but I came in because, yes, sleep is important, but in the beginning of a fitness mindset, discipline plays so much more of a factor than looking at wearables saying, I should take a rest day. So some people might argue with me about that, but I would say that first 3 months, if you're not nailing 3 workouts a week, you're behind. And that's what we need to fix first. That's the easy part, right? Let's nail these 3 things. For some people, that's the hard part. But if they nail those 3 workouts a week for 3 months, then we've got them, right? Now,
You're teaching them to earn the unlock, right? Because it's like the foundation has to be there for where you want to take it. It's interesting now, us in general, humans, we're smarter than we've ever been. We have so much intelligence and access to
we
intelligence,
do.
but we don't have the fundamentals mastered. So we have a hard time just getting it right.
Yeah, we do. And I mean, so we look at, our past. Like, we as humans are always going to default to doing something more efficient, not necessarily lazy, but laziness does come into play. But we're always going to try to find a more efficient way to get things done. That's how, we could just dissect America. That's how America was founded, right? So the industrial age, like, okay, cool. Then okay, we don't need this much of a workforce because we can automate this. We can make this better. There's good and bad to both sides, but for the most part, we've always looked for the easy way out. Like, how can we make more money in less time? How can we get more done in less time? How can we be more productive by spending less? Right. So that's always been like the backbone of humans. Right. So to have someone, it's a real challenge as a coach to say, look, slow your roll. Right. We are going to get efficient over time, but you're just not there yet. Right. Map work is probably one of the biggest things that I see a lot of coaches make mistakes on just right out of the gate. Is, there's this misconception that in order to run fast, you have to run fast, and it's not that. And you see it all the time. When a client comes in and they're like, yeah, I want to, let's say I want to run a 5K in sub 20. Cool. I want you to run 10-minute miles. And they're like, well, that's 30-minute 5K. I'm like, absolutely. Let's run 10-minute miles until it's easy to do. And then let's throw some other stuff in there. But, you can't run a 5K every week and expect to get a better 5K. It just doesn't work that way. Now, over those 10-minute miles, what happens in the subconscious and the body itself is, look, I'm starting to get really good at this running thing. Like, my body's finally like, look, this is a skill that I'm starting to develop. So, in January, those 10-minute miles really sucked. But now it's March, and I'm like, these 10-minute miles are actually kind of fun. You know what I mean? And then, boom, cool. Let's change it up, right? But, James, I had a conversation with James the first time I came out to Scottsdale, and we were talking. We were kind of joking around about the marathon and how the marathon is not respected anymore. Now, I'm not trying to piss anybody off, but it was more like when you look at Frank Shorter and you look at these young ladies that tried to join the marathon, and you look at these people that actually left nothing on the course. Like, they crossed the finish line and they collapsed. They absolutely destroyed themselves. They gave it all they could for, well, back then it was probably 240. Now they're breaking two-hour marathons, which is just insane. But back then it's like, if you ran a 230, a 240, that was world-class records, right? But they damn near killed themselves, right? So we knew they went all heart. Everything was in on that marathon. And then all of a sudden, the running boom hit, and I was there. Don't get me wrong. Now it's like, we're just going to finish it. Yeah, okay. So we were talking about, just kind of joking about respecting the marathon. Like, if you're not going to bleed, don't even run the damn thing, right? But through the conversation, we were talking about clients running 10Ks, and he's like, well, first question I ask when somebody wants to run a 10K is like, would you walk a 10K? And I'm like, I never thought of that, James. He's like, they can't walk a 10K. Why the fuck would they run a 10K? I'm like, I honestly never looked at it that way. And I have had that, James, I've had that in my mind ever since we've had that conversation. So I've actually said that, if people are like, hey, I want to run I've never ran before, but I want to run a 5K. Cool. Let's get you to walk a 5K. They're like, what the hell are you talking about? It's like, yes, it's going to take you a hell of a lot longer to walk a 5K, but let's make sure you have the physical capability to walk it before we add a complex skill involved, right? So.
Absolutely. Do you think that, to that comment about the respect for the marathon and then the running boom, and then everyone's like, let's just finish it and not really push, is that part of why you think we've kind of developed these even more extreme outlets of like the ultras and these like crazy like 100-mile runs or like back-to-back marathons over the course of days, because those that really enjoy like the extremeness of it want the next thing, because the thing that was previously extreme or elite or respected is now just like commonplace?
Yeah, I think that does come into play. I think if you take a cross section of coaches, I think you would find there are opposite ends, there are polar opposites, but I think if you look down the middle of them, they've all at one time experienced pain, but they kind of liked it. You know what I mean? Like, to have your body, which you work very, very hard for, it hurts. Like, there are days where, you can't do one more bicep curl. You know what I mean? And there's pain involved in that.
Or even just like that, maybe not always like a physical pain, but like you have to be willing to not experience the enjoyment in some occasions too, which is like not always pain, but it's like I'm willing to sacrifice, beers out with the girls,
Absolutely.
whatever, something that's not a part of my life, but for someone else that might be pain, right?
Yeah, and I think, I mean, maybe sacrifice would be a better word for that, right? So we have that mindset to where, yes, I could, if I wanted to, I could go out tonight and have a couple glasses of whiskey with my boys, but it's just not worth it anymore, right? Because I know no matter what, as soon as that alarm goes off, I am going to train that day. It's going to happen. So do I want to actually enjoy something that I enjoy, or in the back of my mind, I want to be pissed off at myself because I sacrificed a little bit of fun, but actually it hurt me in so many more ways. Now, I quit drinking for a year. I did 1 year no alcohol, and it was a really awesome experiment. But it was a mental challenge, right? I think I put it on Instagram. Yeah, it was the first year I didn't have a glass of wine with my wife on our anniversary. It's the first year, and we've been married. God, we've been together a long time. Amy, don't watch this. I think it's 24. But
I love that. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So in 24 years, I've always had a glass of wine with my wife. And so it was really, really odd to do that. But I think that if you look at it, going back to the cross section of fitness coaches, when you look at a good leader, when you look at like, I had several good NCOs in the military, a couple good officers that really kind of changed my life and mentored me. And the one thing that was always commonplace was those leaders would never ask you to do anything that they wouldn't do themselves. So I think as a fitness coach, we tend to put ourselves through these difficult situations to see how we can handle it. It doesn't mean that everyone's going to have that same perspective, and they're going to have that same whatever comes out of it. But I to ask a client, you know, to drink 128 ounces of water, I better be able to do it myself. To ask a client to train 4 days a week, I should be able to train 4 days a week. To ask a client to log their food, that's a big one, right? So how can you ask a client to log their food if you won't log their food? So those leaders, those people that are in place, that to building that trust and all that, that's where it comes from. And I think that's why I have such a really, really, really big problem with. We've had this conversation. I absolutely despise social media. We've had this conversations before. I understand the impact. I understand the importance. As a business owner, I understand it's a great tool. It is a fantastic tool. I just hate the noise, Candace. I just can't stand it. And then, you've got the
noise of being surrounded by the things that are there, or the noise of just the distraction from the things that are right in front of you.
Yeah. So both, right? So yeah, look, no one shows their bad days on Instagram, right? No one, well, I can't say no one, but I would say probably 90% of people.
Probably more of the trend right now, unfortunately.
Yeah. You don't, they don't show the struggles. And especially when it comes, obviously I'm saturated in the fitness industry, as you are, and many of us are. No one shows their struggles. No one shows, you see these Photoshop bodies and stuff like that. For the most part, they're Photoshopped. And I was a guy doing a pull up, holding onto a bike. I was like, it's cool that you can do that, but like, what is the function? Like, what are you trying to, are you trying to get clients as a fitness coach? Are you selling gimmicks? Or are you selling honest, trustworthy coaching practices? Right. I
honestly miss James so much for this, because I don't know if it just comes with age and wisdom acquired, but like when he would really help you reflect. And I've been in that situation before too, at that pressure of like feeling like you need to show up in that space on social media. Why?
Yeah.
What is your intention behind doing it? And when it's connected to training, it's like, are your sessions for you because you can and because you want to and because it's truly your habit, or are your sessions for the attention that you're trying to get from somewhere else?
100%.
Right? And that can be applied to so many aspects of life, but I do think once that clicks for you, for anyone, it makes social media very hard, because there's a constant tug of war of, why am I doing this?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've kind of taken an approach, and I mean, if you watch my Instagram videos, they are not edited. It's like, if I misstep, I'm not going back and I'm not fixing it. It's true. I mean, this is, I may not be super articulate. I may say about 500 times, but it's coming from my heart. You know what I mean? And it's something I passionately believe in. Obviously, yeah, there's probably a few more 4-letter words and probably need to be in there. But it's genuine, right? It's genuine. And there's some beautifully edited, just absolutely miraculous, like movie quality Instagram posts that I'm like, man, that's really cool. But I'm not going to do it because I don't want to have to master something else, right?
Well, also, I think there's a difference, because for you, you're with people in person every single day.
Yeah.
And if you were showing up in any capacity different on videos on Instagram than what they can expect when they walk into OPEX Midlands and meet you face to face, that would be a very weird experience.
I actually never even looked at it that way, but that's actually a very, very fair point.
Whereas a lot of people who are really invested in content creation, that is their monetization, that is their revenue stream, that is their form of business, and they may not interact with people in real life. So
Yeah.
that's the only way they have to be interacted with.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So authenticity can be hard to also separate, right?
Absolutely.
Because they're like,
Absolutely.
there's no one with the litmus test of a real life.
Well, Amy will, I'll be on Instagram and I'll see something and I'll be like, that is just not true. That's absolutely false. And Amy would be like, why do you torture yourself? I'm like, you know what? You're right. Why do I torture myself? Get this damn thing out of my face, right? But
But I do love how you have embraced it, even though you don't want to. I love the way that you're embracing it for your community because, again, the wisdom, the knowledge bombs that are just there, that are just delivered only the way that you would deliver them, are impactful for
well,
people.
good. I hope so. I mean, I think, that's our, when it comes to our passion, and I say it all the time, and when we all say it, and it truly is what we desire. When you look at this small space, this small fitness arena that I'm in, in a small town, in a small state, and we want to make the biggest impact that we can in a small amount of time, right? To as many people as we can. But you look at it and you're like, I can only do it to this people. But if I can change 20 people's attitudes, and then they can pass those attitudes on to friends, to family, to children, to even up the chain, even to moms and grandmas, right? That's where us small town, small people start to make this enormous impact. And it's actually a beautiful thing. Like, I'm getting like emotional thinking about, like as a father, I hope that I've instilled a love of fitness to my children, right? I hope that love of fitness, not because of Instagram, not because I want to LGN. I don't mind looking good naked, but it's not important to me, right?
I was like, what's that? Oh,
It's
okay.
a byproduct. Looking good naked is a byproduct of a fitness lifestyle. It's not the goal, right? And if we can pass that on, and maybe in 10,000 years we'll get it right, and
It's so
it's a
true.
big.
I mean, one thing, this came up actually at church for me last week. Our pastor was talking about, the calling of being in ministry and like what that means, but the history of ministry being a family business. And then the impact of that thought and what it means for everyone, because as a father, you're called to minister to your family directly. Your wife and your children are your responsibility to minister to. And I mean, this is the same. Like, people I want to have impact. Oh, I want to grow this audience. But they forget, like, who's right in front of you every single day that you have the opportunity to shape and educate and mentor and watch blossom into something amazing. So I think that's such a powerful point that you make, because that's where it's at. That's where the impact can actually happen. How many people are actually going to stop the scroll and take in the information and then take action on the information?
Right.
Probably not as many as if you have a very impactful conversation with the person right in front of you and then watch them take action, help them take action.
Yeah, and 100%. And I think also tying in, ministry and coaching, we as coaches, just like a minister, you can't force that on somebody, right? You wait for conversations, and you let's have a conversation about this. Let's talk about why this certain behavior is going on. What's going on internally, externally? Why are you chasing this when maybe we should be reeling it in and be chasing this, right? So I love that analogy, the ministry and coaching profession. I'm not, I think it's very, very similar in that aspect. If I try to force fitness on somebody, I mean, tell me, I was in the Army for 8 years. I got forced to do PT for 8 years. What did I want to do when I got out of the Army? Damn sure didn't want to do PT. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But,
Yeah.
it's that, if you want to bring somebody closer to God, you don't force God on them. You bring them around the table. Let's have a conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or welcome them, love them,
Yes.
encourage them.
Love.
Yeah.
And I think coaching, we can make fun of Michael Band's posts where he's just like murdering his clients all the time, and he cracks me up, right?
He's been on it with the
Oh my
memes
gosh, I
lately.
don't know how he does it, but I'm telling you, you know, without a doubt that Michael Band loves every one of his clients. There is no question about it. You know what I mean? So he can joke and he can whatever he says, but you know, without a doubt. And I would say the people that we talk to, that we are with, the OPEX ambassadors, and not just the ambassadors, everybody that's gone through CCP, you know, that has been on the front lines, and in James' words, in the trenches for any long period of time. If the love doesn't exist, neither does your business. It's just the way it is. You don't have to agree with all of your clients, but you have to love them. You know?
Yeah, so true.
Yeah.
Is there a particular James-ism or framework, OPEX framework, that over the years has just stands out to you above the others? I know you mentioned MAP, so it could be something as like executional as MAP, or something as theoretical as reward the pacer. But any kind of thing that just is like that's what hits hard for you.
Yeah. So, I've quoted James a few times. I actually didn't even expect to do that during this conversation, but so you're really good at what you do here. So keep that in mind. So, no, I don't really have any particular James-isms, but I think that if I wanted to have a James attribute and I wanted someone to think like, hey, that guy has this quality that James Fitzgerald has, it would be authenticity. And I think that in everything he does, I don't agree. I mean, and I think James would be pissed off if I did agree with everything he says. I actually don't agree with everything James says. Maybe it's my particular bias, whatever. But one thing I cannot deny is his authenticity. Like, he is James Fitzgerald. And he does not try to be anybody else. He does not cater to anyone else. That I think that would be a great aspiration for, and I hopefully, my clients, 10, 15 years down the road, if they were going to say anything, authenticity would be a great trait to have. And I think James nailed that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's good. No one's actually said that yet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I think, to your point, he would be mad if you agreed with everything he said.
100%. You'd be like, you need to email me. We need to hop on a call.
You're clearly not thinking, Scott.
Oh, absolutely. So,
Oh, awesome. Well, is there anything that you're just really excited about in the immediate long term, like 2025? Things that you're working on personally, professionally, whether it's your own fitness, anything, like what's just the thing you're like, this is the thing I want to do in 2025 and I'm hyped about it?
yeah. So honestly, Cam, I don't really have anything super like pressing for 2025. What I'm kind of planning is a 5-year plan, to kind of step a little bit more out of the gym, allowing my fledgling coaches that are doing wonderful more opportunity to grow, and possibly relocating to a larger space. So I think everything is kind of geared towards that. Now, I need to sit down and write out a game plan. Right now, it's here, and I know it's March in 2025. I should have done it, but
Well, 5 years, you got some time.
yeah, I do. But hell,
But it goes
right
fast.
now, in 5 years, it's going to be here before we know it. And there's a lot of moving parts, and I got to look at the parts and break them down and figure out where do I need to be in 5 years in order to make this happen, right? What have I done professionally as a business owner and a head coach to allow my coaches to grow? What do I need to work on? So it's a lot of internal conversations and for lack of a better word, journaling that I need to kind of hop into. But I've made a lot of mistakes as a business owner. I love being a coach. I don't really like being a business owner. I think there's a lot of, I use the term a lot, noise. There's a lot of shit that I don't want to do as a business owner that I have to do, right? So I think if I went back to where I am when I first opened the gym, I would have done things differently. I would have forced myself to do things on the business side from the get-go instead of trying to play catch up, right? So,
That's interesting. I was actually just talking to Brandon Wilton.
Yeah.
And we were having a conversation into that context about his thought was the first thing you need to do if you think you want to be a coach is you have to make money. So what is the business model?
Yeah.
Is there viability and longevity in that business model? Have you pressure tested it?
Yeah.
And like focus there first before I need to go acquire this knowledge. I need to go be mentored by all these people. Like that's the piece that he said, same feedback, because he got into it coming out of being a firefighter and managing restaurants and just like liking fitness, but also not really loving the business aspect.
100%. Yeah.
I think it's very common for coaches, right? Because they do this because they love helping people and they love fitness. They don't want to market. They don't want to be sales. They don't want to be finance.
But, you look at the tools are there, right? So the OPEX CCP, we dive into that, right? But, I think people are like, that'll come. You know what I mean? I want
to stick with programming.
I want to talk about, the, 1 year, accumulations. But yeah, and I think I probably, as a business owner, I probably should have paid more attention to that and dove a little deeper into that at the onset. Because I say it a million times, and I find myself giving advice to other young business people come in here. I have some high school kids are like, I'm thinking about getting into fitness. And I'm like, just remember, the seeds that you sow today may take 3 to 5 years to bear fruit. And you have to be patient. You have to we do have a mission statement. If you have that mission statement and you stick to that mission statement and you stick to all of that the entire time, there's going to be times you're like, fuck, we need to change our mission statement because things just aren't happening, right? We're not growing at an exponential rate that my business plan said. I was supposed to have 90 clients by now. We're sitting at 60. You know what I mean? There's that frustrating aspect, but if you stay true to yourself, like I think we are successful. I think OPEX Midlands is successful. I think had I done some things differently at the onset, we may be more successful. But, and I think many coaches will agree, you have to take your speed bumps with pride, right? And understand that it's part of the learning process. It's not always going to go your way. You know what I mean? I will say one thing that has remained constant is my watch alarm goes off at 3:45 and I put both feet on the floor every day at 3:45. It does not bother me to come to work. And I can't think of any other job I've had that I've like, when the alarm goes off, I'm like, oh, hell. You know what I mean? I could hit snooze. There's no snooze in my life. It's just get up and go. Let's get after it. And what can we accomplish today? You know what I mean?
Oh, I love that so much.
Yeah.
Well, I just appreciate you. Thank you for hanging out with me and sharing the wisdom. And obviously, thank you for being such a strong just advocate within our community to the other coaches, but also, for those that come across OPEX content. And yeah, I just appreciate all that you do and for you being you. And I also appreciate your wife for supporting you.
I'm a lucky man. I don't know. She's the greatest thing that ever happened to me. She pulled me out of so many holes. And like I said before, I would not be here without her. And to say otherwise would just be terrible, because I would not be here physically or mentally without the love of my wife. That's just the way it is.
So powerful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Scott. Just appreciate you. Thanks for sharing.
Thanks, Candace.